Well, I got one of my favorite fence chargers in for repair. His old Gallagher M800s. I absolutely love this model. This whole generation of Gallagher is by far my favorite. So if you got an old Gallagher from the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and don't throw them out. These things are such a good old school, well built, well built units. Old school electronics. Everything's all modulated, separated on the inside, so you can kind of narrow down where your problem's at, which made it nice for repairs and troubleshooting. But overall, these things run decades without much trouble at all. I've seen these things coming for repair that are from the early 90s and never been touched, and all it's wrong is a back capacitor or a blown thermal cutout, and you put about, just put a little, I don't know, $20 labor and put a little repair time or parts into the thing, and boom, go right back to working. Now, Gallagher themselves don't make a lot of parts for these old Gallaghers. That kind of phase a lot of the parts out. But luckily for you, if you got one of these things, we can rebuild the boards. We can replace the capacitors with new ones. We can retrofit new transformers in there. There's not much in this unit that we can't fix. I mean, it's all old school stuff. So, if you know what you're doing, you can fix a lot of this stuff. But Gallagher doesn't do board level repairs on their old stuff. They just, if they can't part swap a board in there, call it done, they're just going to tell you to throw it away and buy a new one. But look at this stuff. This is old diodes, capacitors, resistors, old school stuff. No surface mount junk on there. I can get capacitors for them. They may look a little different, but I can get new capacitors for these things all day long. So there's nothing really on this thing you can't desolder and fix. Capacitors we can get all day long. Output boards, sometimes you can fix them, sometimes you can't. But if you can't, you can pull this board out and hardwire from the transformer to your fence and ground terminals and just get rid of the output board altogether. You actually gain about 1,000, 1,500 volts by doing that. It's just a lightning protection board, is really all it is. Plus it gives this little red light flashes for you so you know, hey, the fence is good. But that's a cosmetic thing. These bulbs burn out over time and the unit will still work without it. So all this old Gallagher stuff from the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, don't throw it away. If the store tells you they can't fix it, it's because they don't know how, and all they are is a part swapper. They just swap out a board, swap out this, swap out that. I mean, anybody can do that. You can teach a monkey to do that. So we'll put a tester on there. Getting almost 7,000 volts out of it, which is right where it's supposed to be. I think the cheat sheet for it's like 6.7 plus or minus, so we're at 6.9. We'll throw a piece of wire across there to simulate a low spark deal. Actually, let's do a pair of needle nose. Let's touch the ground side. And just based from experience on these things, I kind of know what I'm looking for. It should stay about like that with that kind of load on it. And it didn't drop way out. We did a ground fault test on the transformer earlier. I'll do it again. Doesn't stop clicking. Doesn't stop flashing. Same thing there. So the unit's perfectly fine. We checked the capacitor on it. It was rated almost perfect. I think it's original capacitor to it. A little low. It's like 37.5 out of 40. But, you're not going to gain much of anything by changing it. There's no reason to put, a $40 part into the thing when you don't need it. You're not going to gain much joule power by putting in, from 37.5 to 40. What's that? 2.5. So you're not going to gain anything really joule-wise by putting a $40 part in the thing. So there's no reason to do that. So I have probably worked on, couldn't tell you, thousands of these M800s over the last 20 years. So they've been a really good, reliable unit. Gallagher doesn't make a lot of parts for them anymore. So if they get them in, they just kind of like, well, here, we'll do this, do that. Okay, that's all that. All this is bad. Can't fix it, sir or ma'am. You got to throw it away and buy a new one. New ones are $400, give or take, for a new one. And if you know what you're doing, you can fix those boards. I can retrofit transformers. I can replace capacitors. all kinds of magic, and you can work on these things. I've fixed these things for $60. I fixed them for $150. You know, a little higher, a little lower sometimes, but we'll put a year and a half warranty on it, and maybe it'll run for another 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Who knows? You know, these things are just tried and true, old school. You know, there's no thrills with the thing. If it's just old school electronics, a box that clicks and flashes, so it does what it's supposed to do. So if you got one of these old units, don't throw it away just because someone else says you can't fix it. You know, if they've got it in their possession, get it back from them and ship it to me, and we'll fix it for you. Save you a heap of money from buying a new one. So new ones are good. Well, some of the brands are good. Some of our brands are junk. But there are some good ones out there. But man, don't throw your old ones away. Yeah, buy a new one if you want. Ship me your old one, and we'll fix it and have a good spare backup for a rainy day. So until next time, we'll see you guys later on, and have a good day. Tell your friends about us, and send me a unit so I can work on it, so I can make some money here. You know, this is my full-time gig. I don't do this for fun. This is not a hobby. This is my livelihood. It's what I do for a living, is work on these things every day. So until next time, see you later.